Hello and welcome back to video number 1 on delving deeper on anxiety. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about over these next 3-4 videos might seem a little disjointed, but there's a reason for it. Just remember that overarching all of these videos is the theory that our thoughts create our feelings 100% of the time. So I just want that to sit for a while with you. But one of the first things and one of the first topics that I want to talk about is our life script. I often talk with clients about stories, making stories up, creating a story around something. And when we're anxious, this comes into play an awful lot. I like to talk about things personally because I think it brings things to life. If there's lots of theory, it can be quite difficult for that to connect with people. So I do talk personally about things. So if I've got to go somewhere, the dentist, don't like the dentist. I think I've spoke about this before in other videos, but I just have feelings about the dentist. And that is exactly what I mean. I make up a scenario, a story on how it's going to play out when I go to the dentist. And I can honestly say 100% of the time, the story never plays out how I imagined it to. But it's what we do as human beings. We try to control our environment. We try to foresee every possible scenario of how this can play out. And that links in massively if we're feeling anxious about something. Because as I said earlier on, anxiety is part of our fight and flight. So when our fight and flight has been triggered or when we're feeling anxious, it's because we feel in danger, whatever that can be. I'm not in danger going to the dentist. It's not like it used to be that my life hangs in the balance whether I go to the dentist or not. But yet my reaction to it often feels that way. I won't ever play down how anxiety impacts on people because I've been there, I've felt it, and I know how life and death that feels in the moment. Looking back on my anxious episodes, and I'm sure this will apply to all of you, if not some of you, it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was. But that doesn't mean that we don't play out those stories again. So I just want to read you a little bit of something that is connected with our life script, which is also connected with the stories that sometimes we make up. So bear with me while I read this. This is not mine. I will let you know where this comes from. So this is an introduction to a transactional analysis theory all around life script. You have written your own story. You began writing it at birth. By the time you were 4 years old, you had decided on the essentials of the plot. At 7, you had completed your story in all its main detail. From then until the age of about 12, you polished it up and added a few extras here and there. In adolescence, you revise your story, updating it with more real-life characters. Like all stories, your life story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has heroes and heroines, villains, and walking characters. It has a main theme and it has subplots. It may be comic or tragic, inspiring or boring. Now that you're an adult, the beginnings of your story are out of your reach of conscious memory. You may not have been aware until now that you wrote it at all. Yet without that awareness, you are likely to live out your story, the one you composed all those years ago. That story is your life script. And that's an excerpt from a book called TA Today, which was written by Ian Stewart and Van Joins. It's a classic transactional analysis book. It's one that I've got. I've not got it here with me at the moment, but it's one that I use throughout my training. And it's got all the basic ideas and concepts around transactional analysis, which, as I said, is what I'm trained in. And I think this fits in really well with anxiety, with stress, with overwhelm, with worry, because there's something about us trying to protect ourselves from something which causes our anxious feeling. And our life story and our life script kind of maps out who we're going to be in the world and how our life is going to play out. And it's all about the stories. So I just wanted to explore this a little bit with you, because the next video that I'm going to talk about is about our drivers and our personality traits, which also links into our life script. So when I first learnt about this topic, I was gobsmacked, to say the least. I'm not sure if that's a Lancashire term, but I was floored that basically by the age of 7, my life was mapped out. I had mapped my life out, who I was going to be in the world, who I was going to invite into it. If you imagine a plot like Coronation Street, it's scary to think that as a child, as a pre-7-year-old, I made lots of decisions about how I was going to live my life. Now, you need to bear in mind that this is just one theory. There's lots of different therapy theories out there. There's lots of different ways of looking at it. But this one just fitted right with me. And I'm not sure whether sometimes you've made a decision about something. I don't know, you've met somebody and you think that you're going to go on a date with them, for example, and you just get that feeling, that niggle in your stomach that things aren't right. That can be because you've gone against your life script. The decisions that you made earlier, that you've gone against those. So a personal example for me, I know I've had 4 years of therapy, so I kind of know what my life script is. One of the things that I decided pre-7-year-old is that it was my job to make everybody happy. I think a lot of children kind of make that one. We don't like seeing our parents sad or unhappy. So I made the decision that I was going to make sure that everybody around me was happy, because if everybody around me was happy, then that meant I was happy, which is a really nice thing to think. But taking that into my adult life, it is really, really difficult, because it's impossible. I can't make anybody happy. I can work on myself, but the reality is I cannot make somebody else feel happy or sad or angry or anything. That's their choice and their responsibility. So if I look at my life script, that it's my job to make everybody happy, and I do something that I feel is not appropriate. So I don't know, somebody asks me to go to a party with them and I say no. Even just saying that now, knowing all this stuff, knowing what my life script is and how it all works, I get a oof feeling. There's something inside of me that is telling me that that's not how we're supposed to be. That's not the answer that I'm supposed to give. I'm supposed to please everybody. It's my job to make them happy. And me saying no to something in my head and my story that I've made up is that I'm not making them happy. And when we make a shift out of our life script, it can make us feel anxious. It can make us feel like we've done something wrong. It can make us feel like we're doing something we shouldn't. I'm not sure as a younger person or a younger child that you had that feeling of impending doom. That, yeah, something's rumbling, something's just not right. That's when often we've gone against our life script. Now, bearing in mind that this script is something the majority of us aren't even aware that we have one in the first place, never mind what it is, where it comes from, and whether we're in it or out of it, going with it, redeciding how we're going to live our life or anything. We miss the anxious feeling. We miss the thought that comes before the anxious feeling. So one of the things with therapy that I often warn clients when they first come is that you might feel worse. You might feel more anxious or more stressed or more worrying or overthink things more. And that's because often we're stepping out of our script. When we know we have a script, we then have a choice. The negative thing about life scripts is that they never end well. That it's a ridiculous thing. I can remember when I was training and learning about this, that It was like, oh, this is so depressing. Why why can my script not have a happy ending? Why does it have to have a tragic ending? Why does it not end well? It's like, I don't know, when you watch a film, or EastEnders is classic for this, where there's that dum 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 at the end of it, where we're all left in suspense. And the way that it was explained to me by my tutors was that if we learn all the good stuff in therapy, or in our training to be a therapist, it's not going to help us, because people don't come to therapy when they're in a good place. It's usually when their script is telling them something, when they're going against what their script is telling them. That's when often they feel anxious, overwhelmed, scared, stressed, all those sorts of things. So it doesn't always need to be a tragic ending to it when we know that we have a life script, when we understand how it works, when we understand that as an adult we can live our life on the decisions that we made when we were very young, when we hadn't got the life experience. So often when we look through our eyes, we're filtering things dependent on the decisions that we made when we were younger. And if we were in a family where things were quite chaotic, or some people have been through trauma, then our life script will have that in it. That part of our life script might be that I don't trust people, or I can't be in a relationship with somebody, or I need lots of people around me in order to feel safe, or I need nobody around me in order to feel safe. These are the sort of random thoughts that can be connected with our script. So that's one of the things that I just wanted to introduce when we're looking at anxiety, is that sometimes, particularly in therapy situations, feeling anxious can be a good thing, because we're changing something. We're going against something that we made up when we were very young. And it links in with NLP, which is another type of therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, that if we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got. And that's what tends to happen with our life script, is we replay the same behaviours over and over, because it's a story, it's a script that we made up, literally. Like the cast of Coronation Street, we will invite people in that reinforce the way that we feel about ourselves and the world and everything around us, and we will get rid of the people that don't reinforce our script. So the relationships that we have, I'm not sure whether this has ever happened to you, but in relationship, why do I always pick the bad ones? Why does every relationship end the same way? Why do I always feel this way in friendships? Why do I pick jobs where I feel stressed and overwhelmed? Why does this always happen to me? If you find yourself saying those sort of things, that's because you're in your script. You're replaying the only script that you have in your subconscious at the moment. Once we're aware of it, then we have a choice to change it. And that's the part that I want you to take away from this delving deeper on anxiety, is that we have a choice. So in the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about drivers and what drives our behaviour. But before I finish this one, I put a question in the introduction, and I want to put it and just be curious about that in this video as well. Is anxiety a feeling or a behaviour? And what's the difference? Is anxiety something that we do at certain times? So if, going back to what I was talking about earlier, if I'm going to the dentist, is anxiety the behaviour that I display when I need to go to the dentist? Or is it a feeling? Does that make sense? There's always a thought before a feeling. So as I'm thinking about going to the dentist, that's the first step. That's the thought that then creates the feeling. But sometimes when it's habitual, when we feel the same thing over and over, it can become a behaviour. So there's a bit of a blurred line there on whether anxiety is a feeling or a behaviour. it becomes a natural, normal thing in certain situations for us to be anxious. It's like we need that feeling in order to measure where we are. The behavior measures our feeling, if that makes sense. So I hope I've not overwhelmed you with all of that, and I hope it's just piquing your curiosity around anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. We can't be without it. It is part of our fight and flight, but we can learn to have it alongside us. It's a necessary thing for us. But when it's impacting on our life, when it's overwhelming, when we feel like we can't do what we want to do because of anxiety, then sometimes we need to look at how we can lessen its impact. I did another video, you might be able to find it on YouTube, about befriending anxiety. And that anxiety is like that annoying friend that we had at school that just keeps going on. And sometimes if we let it in and acknowledge that it's there, it stops shouting and banging on the door quite so hard. And that is connected with our life script. When we know that our life script is there, when we know that there is such a thing as a life script, then we can be more curious about why we react certain ways. It's not happening to us. I think we start to feel like we're losing control when we feel like things are done to us. We don't have a say in our reactions to things. You know, people make me feel this way. And I want to let you know that that isn't how it works. People can't make us feel a certain way. Going to the dentist can't make me feel anxious. If that was so, everybody would feel the same way going to the dentist, and they don't. Flying. Again, I did warn earlier on about triggers. There might be some things that I talk about that trigger you, but that's because of your thoughts about certain things that links into your script. That's a protection mechanism. The other thing, I don't want you to be judgmental of yourself while we're delving deeper in on anxiety. Knowing that we have a behaviour, a thought, a feeling around something is not meant to be judgmental. Often when people have an insight or look at something from a different point of view, it's like, oh my God, why 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years I felt this way. What a waste of time. I don't want you to come away from watching these videos feeling that way. If you knew a better way of being, you would do it. So it's about being kind and compassionate to yourself and just exploring how it works being a human being. How does this happen? Why does it happen? Just be curious. It's not about being critical or judgmental, because when we find a new way, that's brilliant. But that new way might change again in a week's time or a month's time. We're constantly evolving and learning new things about ourselves, and that's growing. That again is being a human being, is learning new things. And again, on top of all of that, what I would just like to explore or to say to you is that a lot of the logical things that we learn can keep us wearing blinkers. Some of the things I say to you in this video, you might not have heard before. You might poo-poo it. You might think, what is she waffling on about? That's absolutely fine. But just be open to exploring things. Not necessarily what I'm saying, but if you hear somebody having a different view on anxiety or stress and overwhelm, just be willing to put your logic to one side and kind of get out of your own way to just hear a different point of view. Because hearing a different point of view or different information could be that trigger, that light bulb that just allows you to have insight that can change everything. Because I'm not sure if you can see what's on the wall at the back of me. One thought is all it takes. One thought is all it takes to change a lot of things, both positively and negatively. So we're just looking at that one thought. What is that one thought for you around delving in on anxiety? if there's something that I've said that's tweaked your interest, then get in touch. Ask for more information on it. Research more information if that's the sort of person that you are. We don't need to have all the answers. We don't need to know how everything works. But I understand that for some of us, we like information. I know for me, I like to process information. That's again, I will go into it in the next video, but that's about my life script, the stories that I've made up, and how I process things. I've got a friend that's also a psychotherapist, and we're completely different people. We've done training together, and I like lots of handouts. I like lots of notes. I like lots of preparation. She doesn't. She can just talk. She can just go into a room full of people and just talk. That, just saying it, I can feel that makes me worry. Let's put it that way. So I know my personality traits. I know what I need to do in order to lessen my anxiety and stress around certain things. And that just comes from me exploring who I am. So you might be a person that needs lots of handouts. You might be a person that needs lots of information, and that's absolutely fine. But we've got to allow the other people, the others, as if they're a different breed. They're not. We're all human beings. But people that process information differently through hearing, through talking, through discussing, through watching videos, through just exploring. We are all unique, and we've got to appreciate our uniqueness on how certain things impact on us. So I hope that's helped. I hope that's tweaked your interest. I shall be back with the next video where I'm going to talk a little bit about drivers, what drives our behaviour, and how that links in again to our life script and delving deeper in on anxiety. So I shall speak to you soon. Take care.